But here we are discussing a very, very important topic which all of us relate to and we feel it every day, which is internal security. And also to large extent, what we saw in the last 1 or 2 years, what we are seeing in the Middle East, thankfully it has resolved for now, what we saw with Pakistan. So we have very, very esteemed security experts who are going to talk about these challenges that our country faces in the through a lens of Indo-Pacific, Bay of Bengal, Andaman Islands and the India's eastern seaboard. Let me start with Gaurav. Gaurav, you have been a security journalist for how many years now? 30 years? About 30 years. What has changed? Has it become good, bad, ugly? And when you look at Andaman, as a security threat, how do you feel?
तो दुनिया की अगर दृष्टि से देखा जाए तो इस समय आप जहां देखें वहां युद्ध चल रहा है। रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच युद्ध जो मैं 2022 में कवर करने पहली बार गया था वो और भीषण हो गया है इस समय। पिछले 2 दिनों में जिस तरह की बमबारी हुई है वो बहुत जबरदस्त रही है। ईरान इजराइल की लड़ाई अभी अगर सीज फायर भी है लेकिन खतरा यह है कि किस दिन और भड़क जाएगी। तो वॉर इज बिकमिंग वेरी अनसर्टन, it can get triggered anytime. We also Pahalgam and then Operation Sindoor undertaken by India, and before that in 2020 we reported Galwan and post Galwan Operation Snow Leopard. The situation remains extremely volatile. अगर भारत के परिप्रेक्ष्य में बात करें तो भारत हर मोर्चे पर जैसे जैसे भारत की सामरिक शक्ति बढ़ेगी हम हर मोर्चे पर घिरते जा रहे हैं। खतरा पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर पर भी है, चीन बॉर्डर पर भी है। रामी बेहतर बताएंगी कि किस तरह से पूर्वोत्तर में आपका नेपाल का बॉर्डर, वहां तुर्की और विदेशी ताकतें जिस तरह का पैसा लगा रही हैं आपके बॉर्डर, वो ओपन बॉर्डर है, वहां पर खतरा बड़ा हो रहा है। बांग्लादेश का बॉर्डर बड़ा खतरा है। म्यांमार का बॉर्डर, हथियार तस्करी, वहां से हथियारों की तस्करी, ड्रग्स की तस्करी, ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग, वो बड़ा खतरा है। बांग्लादेश का बॉर्डर एक और बड़ी समस्या है। तो आप ये देखिए, आप हर बॉर्डर पर घिरे हैं। इन समस्याओं का समाधान कहां पर है? जहां हिमालय में समस्या है वहां हिंद महासागर में उसका समाधान है। ये आपने स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मूज को देख लिया, जो चोक पॉइंट को कंट्रोल करता है वो आपके देश को डिफेंड करेगा, और यहां मलाका स्ट्रेट एक चोक पॉइंट है जिसको आप डोमिनेट कर सकते हैं।
Sorry, Rami, you want to give some insight into... So I'm asking this question for a very personal reason. I mean, you have covered Northeast extensively. और हमने देखा है अंडमान में narcotics is a big problem. We are part of the Golden Triangle route, I think. All that gets produced in Myanmar border side, and I've worked in the Northeast also. Why, the frequency of that is going up? Are there some external forces involved, or the industry itself has evolved so much?
Deroshi, can you hear me?
I think your mic is...
Now? Yeah.
Much
Yeah.
better.
I have to agree with Gaurav that we have a situation that is brewing that we haven't seen for a very long time. Unfortunately, the problem with us is that for majority of our post-independence mindset, we focused on the northwestern frontier. The northeastern frontier has not been studied. We don't have scholarship on it. We don't have that kind of intelligence on it. And it's a very complex frontier. You look at the kind of inter-ethnic rivalries you have, affinities you have, transnational ethnic boundaries they traverse. And to say the least, that you have 1,643 kilometers of porous borders with Myanmar, not counting Bangladesh and the maritime border. Now you asked me a question of narcotics, and everything is linked, and this is something that I really like.
Our Honorable DGP sir is also sitting, he's just joined I think a couple of weeks ago.
So I'm sure,
This is straight his department.
So I'm sure he'll add to what I'm saying, but the specific problem that you've asked me about narcotics, and it's very difficult just to talk about that because everything now is interconnected. It's very difficult to look at things, solo. But after the ban of poppy cultivation by the Taliban 2.0, they found a ready-made supply chain in Myanmar. Myanmar was in a state of conflict. A lot of the EOs controlled a lot of the areas. Therefore, poppy cultivation became easier. But it's not just about poppy cultivation, it's also about synthetic drugs, which does not require any sort of climate, any sort of climate or in any sort of vast pieces of land. So you can grow them in, you can make them in laboratories.
I think many of us watch Breaking Bad, so they know amphetamines and how to.
Methamphetamines. It was 2024 end that the Indian Coastal Guards caught $4.3 billion worth of methamphetamine yaba pills in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. You see trawlers coming, maritime waterways being used to transfer this apart from land borders. So to answer your question in the brief time that I have, Myanmar is in a state of conflict. It's controlled by multiple ethnic armed organizations to fund the kind of conflict that is going on and that's going to continue going on. And, you need this kind of money. UNODC estimates, and they only take in account of 10% of what is caught, it to be about $40 billion, and that's only 10%. So you can imagine what, it was such a big problem that Bangladesh during Sheikh Hasina's time actually enacted the death penalty for traffickers, because it was not just consumed by somebody who was addicted to drugs, but also people who were working on multiple time zones, because methamphetamine, especially yaba pills, keeps you awake for a couple of days, But again, we're looking at it in a silo. It's not just about methamphetamines now from Myanmar, or it's not just about drug usage and addiction, but it's about, let's say, a state like Mizoram or Manipur. It has the highest level of HIV because of intravenous use of heroin. And to add to that, we've just got a huge shipment of Captagon, which is coming from West Asia. Jihad.
No, absolutely. Coming to Tuhin, you are national spokesperson of BJP, plus also as a security expert. You've just written a book on
No, I'm not a
Naxal
security
terror.
expert.
Is the
Security
government
expert.
aware of what Rami just
So
said,
सबसे
and what is the
पहले-
government doing about it?
सबसे पहले दिवशी मैं द वेव एंडमन को 1 साल के सफल ऑपरेशन संपन्न होने पर हार्दिक बधाई देना चाहता हूँ। इस यात्रा को मैंने आरंभ से देखा है, और 1 साल में जो, जैसा मैं कह रहा था, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी हमेशा ऑरेंज इकोनॉमी की बात करते हैं, और उसका एक जीता जागता उदाहरण है द वेव एंडमन, वेयर द लोकल्स हैव टेकन द लीड। सो एनीवे, कमिंग टू द टॉपिक, देखिए, कांग्रेस के ज़माने में एक शब्द का उपयोग होता था, टिरनी ऑफ डिस्टेंस, दूरी की यातना। तो वो उन्होंने नॉर्थ ईस्ट में भी उसका उपयोग किया था, कि दैट एसेंशियली मेंट कि when the problems which we are talking of are so distant from Lutyens Delhi, why bother about it immediately? आज जो प्रॉब्लम्स एग्जिस्ट हो रही हैं वो 20 साल और भी एग्जिस्ट करेंगे, तो किसको, हमारा क्या बिगड़ेगा? वही अप्रोच अंडमान निकोबार आइलैंड्स के प्रति भी उनका था। वही जो नक्सली दूर दराज के इलाके थे जहां नक्सली आतंकवादी सक्रिय हो गए थे, वहां पर भी उनका वो अप्रोच था। तो टिरनी ऑफ डिस्टेंस was a Congress mindset to ward off problems, to not deal with problems immediately. And that is one very big paradigm change which the country has witnessed in the last 12 years. We take problems head on. तो अंडमान एंड निकोबार आइलैंड भी जिस तरह से पिछले 60 वर्षों से इग्नोर्ड था, and every which way, from a law and order point of view to from a security point of view, from a trade point of view, उसका एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव निवारण, उसका एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव निदान ढूंढने की कोशिश पिछले 12 वर्षों में हुई है। तो चूँकि अभी ड्रग्स की बात हो रही थी, आपको पता होगा ड्रग्स फ्री भारत इज़ ऑल्सो अ टारगेट ऑफ ऑनरेबल होम मिनिस्टर अमित शाह जी, और हमारे जो शीर्ष नेता हैं, जब वो कमिटमेंट कर देते हैं तो खुद की नहीं सुनते, तो वो कमिटमेंट पूरा कर ही देते हैं।
नहीं, बिल्कुल। गौरव, मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाह रहा था, बेसिकली आप सिक्योरिटी मतलब एक्सपर्ट से आपका रोज़ का नाता है, यू स्पीक टू देम ऑलमोस्ट एवरी डे। हाउ इज द होल strategic encirclement that we have always heard about, the Indian Ocean, Indo-Pacific, with a different kind of a US around us and a different China, much more stronger. what do we need to do? What is the sense that you get? And how important is our maritime presence in this region?
Look, India has to double down and India has to be strong because nobody would want a strong India. कौन चाहता है कि दुनिया में एक ताकतवर और देश उभर के आए जो उनकी बातें ना सुने, उनका पिच लग्गू ना हो. So everyone would want to keep India down. We've seen what happened in Bangladesh. The kind of agitation that was there. हम अपने देश में भी देखते हैं. And you know, since you were mentioning the DGP, we've had interactions in Delhi. जो 2020 में anti-CAA riots थे. वो CAA का प्रोटेस्ट था या कुछ इंजीनियर किया गया था या ट्रिगर किया गया था, और उससे पहले भी ट्रिगर करने की कोशिश क्या रही है हमारे देश में, क्योंकि CAA वाज नेवर अगेंस्ट यू नो मुस्लिम्स लूजिंग देयर राइट्स इन इंडिया. इट वॉज नेवर अबाउट दैट. लेकिन पूरा एक प्रोपोगंडा देश में दुनिया में फैलाया गया, चलाया गया. और उस तरह से अगर आप देखा जाए तो विदेशी ताकतें आपको दबाना चाहती हैं. पाकिस्तान नहीं चाहता बड़ा बने, चीन नहीं चाहता बड़ा बने, अमेरिका भी नहीं चाहेगा बड़ा बने. सब लोग आपको दबाने की कोशिश करेंगे और उसके बावजूद आपको बड़ा बनना है. उसके लिए आपको अपनी आर्थिक शक्ति भी दिखानी है, सामरिक शक्ति भी दिखानी है, स्वदेशी हथियारों से ही दिखानी पड़ेगी. एंड दैट माइंडसेट हैज टू कम फ्रॉम विद इन दैट वी कैन डू इट, you know, against all odds. So when it comes to, I came to Andaman Nicobar the first time in 2004 when the unfortunate tsunami happened. A large number of people had lost their lives. I'd come with the then Home Minister. We traveled to Nicobar. Lots of lives had been lost, and I came subsequently to cover a lot of reconstruction work that was happening, and also naval exercises that are happening. The more you show your maritime presence here, whether it's your military presence or your economic presence, you just need to show your presence. You be strong here. People respect power. If you show power, people will respect you. वरना सब आपको बोलेंगे अच्छा ठीक है.
नहीं बिल्कुल. आई थिंक अंडमान के लोग इस चीज से ज्यादा रिलेट करेंगे क्योंकि यहाँ ऑलरेडी एक बार जापानीज इन्वेशन हो चुका है. In the Second World War, there were Japanese here for 2 years, and there are stories of atrocities, right? We've seen that. So it's not, you know, it's too far away in the past. I mean, there are examples. Now coming to Rami, so what should be India's strategic force projection? What should the country be doing? Look, for example, again in my previous panel, we were talking about the Great Nicobar project. Now there is also talk here, बहुत ज़्यादा militarization हो जाएगा. You know, do we really need to do so much? What is the sense that you get?
So, you know, you used a word encirclement. And I think that's a very important word because why are we debating it? Every policy that you look at Turkey, you mentioned about Turkey being in Nepal. You look at Turkey's presence in Bangladesh. You look at Turkey's policy of what they want to do in the next 20 years. They've written it on paper. Asia, a new policy. You look at their investments, their strategic investments, whether it's in the CPR defense systems in Bangladesh, which hasn't come through but is expected to come through, whether it is Malaysia, Indonesia, you'll see a systematic investment in any of these countries. Forget Turkey, you know, we know that they have, you know, in this caliphate ambitions. You look at China. We always look at China from the lens of Bangladesh. What did they do in Chittagong, or where are they building a submarine base, or Lal Marine Heart has, you know, some presence. We don't look at Myanmar, it becomes too complex for us. You know, you look at Coco Islands, it's 55 kilometers away from us, but then we stop at just Coco Islands. Look at Chok Fu Port. Look at next to Chok Fu Port. You have
this war has shown, I mean, the Iran war has shown how difficult it can get.
But see, Iran war has shown how difficult it is because West Asia comes naturally to us, so we understand it. The Bay of Bengal doesn't come naturally to us. The reason we are talking about it today is because it's been put on the map because of the Galathea Bay. It's been put on the map because of what's happened in Bangladesh, that people have even started talking about the northeastern frontier of the Bay of Bengal. But to understand it, one needs to have long-term interest in this region. And I think the Galathea Bay is a very strategic pivot for India, and that's what it should be doing. When we start bringing in debates, and I'm not saying that this is a defense for everything strategic and I don't care about the ecology, but when we start bringing in debates about ecology, not looking at what's happening across the world, as I mentioned, we're talking about Chop Pho Port. What does Chop Pho Port do? It brings China to the Bay of Bengal. Across Myanmar, it gives it a straight line to come from Yunnan to the Bay of Bengal. What is the island next to Chop Pho Port? It's called Onchin. Onchin is where the number 72 submarine base made by China sits, which, yes, has, an Indian submarine that we've given to them, but also has a Ming submarine given by the Chinese that's docked there. What do we know about the String of Pearls? Because we have some interest in China, but do we know about the metal chain, which is Myanmar's island chain that encircles Myanmar, which and I've traveled to these regions over 20 years. I've traveled by road, I've traveled across, I've met the EOs, I've met, the military, the Tatmadaw, and you will see the kind of presence that you possibly won't see in any other country. You'll see China daily in the airport, in government offices. You'll see huge amount of funding, which obviously they'll say it's a part of their BRI, but we have concerns about dual usage. So, historically, we have to learn that strategic space once ceded cannot be reclaimed. And therefore, it is very important for us to support initiatives like this. For a very long time, we've had this policy that, ab dur rakho, Northeast ke saath bhi yehi policy tha, ab dur rakho, let them decide for themselves. What happened? You've ceded space, you've ceded strategic space.
So
and that's
isolation
not the
doesn't
time.
work, you don't think so?
Isolation doesn't work. We have to have aggressive moves like this, and this is hardly aggressive. This is a part of our country. We have the right to develop it, and it's been defended in front of great organizations like the NGT.
Sure. No, I agree. But the leader of the opposition has been very critical of, as Rami summed it up, strategic ambitions, Galathea Bay project. How would the BJP respond to that?
Well, Gaurav was very kind, when he said some people have been spreading misconceptions on CEA. We call it toolkit politics. And, the leader of opposition is a toolkit politician, if you ask me. So when it comes to the Great Nicobar Island, for the last 50 years now, I think the first time it was conceived was in the early 70s. And there were developments preceding that. At one point of time, Indonesia wanted to acquire that island, and I think that is when the Indian establishment woke up to it. And even at this point of time, let it be very clear that not more than 10% of the landmass will be utilized. Of course, there is a plan that over a period of 20 years, some 3.5 or 4 lakh people will be settled. But at no point of time will that impact the local population. But if you look at the strategic importance, the island is barely 150 kilometers away from the Strait of Malacca, which carries 30% of the global sea trade. Future wars are going to be fought on the issue of energy. So it will be a huge catalyst in ensuring energy security because of the port, because of its critical importance to places like Indonesia and Malaysia. Now, at this point of time, agar koi leader of opposition उसमें जंप करके केवल ये जताने की कोशिश करे कि उससे ट्राइबल्स, उससे जो लोकल पॉपुलेशन की क्षति पहुंचेगी, अगर हम वो फॉलो करें तब तो अफ्रीका का डेवलपमेंट होता ही नहीं. तब तो कोई ग्रीन ये जो ग्रीन एक्सप्रेसवेज बनते हैं, ग्रीनफील्ड एक्सप्रेसवेज, वो तो उनका निर्माण कभी होता ही नहीं. So, we always have to strike a balance between development, between protecting our strategic interests and equally protecting the rights of the local population, which we are committed to. But given the importance of the island, for the future of the country, I don't think it's a wise idea to start that toolkit politics on it once again, which is what we have been critical of.
Fair enough. You saw the Iran war, you saw how asymmetric warfare has played out, how tech has played out immensely. What are the immediate upgrades you think we need, across our, across our immediate neighborhood at least?
Look, let's keep one thing very clear. Development has to be a constant process, and you have to stay one step ahead of the adversary, because the adversary, and especially the one to the north, is actually thinking 10 years ahead and working on projects 10 years ahead. आपने तुर्की की बात की, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान आपने देखा होगा कि टर्की के ड्रोन्स पाकिस्तान ऑपरेट कर रहा था हमारे खिलाफ, और तुर्की बहुत एक्सटेंसिवली इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है पाकिस्तान में। पहली बात। दूसरी बात, चाइना ऑटोनोमस वॉरफेयर में काफी आगे पहुंच गया है। हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड में you're talking about environment. Look, environment is very important, and whatever conditions NGT has kept on the government, they must all be fulfilled. Truly they must be, but it can't be environment ya security ya economy. It has to be all together. I'll give you a small example. गलवान हुआ 2020 के समय, मैं लद्दाख में था उस समय। चाइना की फोर्सेस बहुत तेजी से आ गई, हमारी सड़कें बन रही हैं। आपको मालूम है कितने वर्षों तक हमारी सड़कें नहीं बन पाई? 73 स्ट्रेटेजिक रोड्स 19 या 20 बन पाई है। क्यों? क्योंकि एनवायरमेंट क्लियरेंस नहीं मिलती, वहां पेड़ नहीं कट सकते, वहां सड़क नहीं बन सकती, वहां वो नहीं हो सकता। चाइना तो सब काट कूट के वहां सड़क बना के आ जाता है और आपकी टेरिटरी ले लेता है, आप यहां एनवायरमेंट क्लियरेंस लेते रह जाते हैं।
I know what you exactly mean.
That really impacted India's deployment, and because now you have some of those, the DSDBO road, I traveled all the way up to Dolakbeg Oldie to report that Galwan, that Depsang hadn't been cut off from us. That road is outstanding, and it results in quick deployment of counter deployment of our forces. So you need roads in border areas, you need anything that will keep your country safe, because if your borders are not safe, पहले भी हम कटे हैं ना, हमारे बॉर्डर्स पहले गए एंड देन सेंटर कट गया। The same history will repeat itself if you don't learn from it.
I agree. I think people should go and stand on the Nathula border and see how the Indian roads are and how the Chinese roads are. They're like huge projects. Rami?
I have to agree, what we deal with, is an opposition that feels their primary job is to oppose. That is not the job of an opposition. You can have a constructive opposition as well.
देश तो उनका भी है,
Absolutely, but to sacrifice everything for politics then tells us what their agenda is. But let me say this, it's not just about China. The Western world, virtue signals us every given opportunity. What about Diego Garcia? Yeah. What about Panama Canal, which displaced over 1 million people? Diego Garcia, there's no way any of that population is going back. Yeah. So who are we listening to? Who are we trying to please? Having said that, this is called the Indian Ocean. Who has primary responsibility towards it?
Absolutely.
And, to see that responsibility to anybody else will be a big mistake. And I have to say, as somebody who watches this area very closely from a security lens, that initiatives like this is what is going to safeguard a larger national agenda, and that has to be safeguarded over and above anything else.
Fair enough. Tuhin, you think, last word, you think our foreign policy has largely been apologetic for a long time?
Our foreign policy has followed a very clear approach of nuanced. Our foreign policy has followed a very clear, under Prime Minister Modi, the foreign policy has followed an approach of nuanced multilateralism. So, in so far as any conflict situation is concerned, the Prime Minister has been very clear. We are on the side of peace. We don't rush to be the negotiator like Pakistan has done for obvious reasons. Pakistan is desperate to kind of whitewash its own sins in the past. But if you look at our foreign policy in the last 12 years, Prime Minister, we have removed the hyphenation, the orchestrated hyphenations which used to exist in the Congress era. So Congress always tagged Israel and Palestine together. We don't feel there is any incumbent need to do that. We can be friends with Israel. We can still support the just Palestine cause, but of course the just Palestine cause may not exist now after what happened in October 2023. Similarly, Prime Minister Modi has the rare gumption of sitting with Putin and saying it in front of him that this is not the era of war. So, but at the same time, India will do what it feels is required to protect its strategic interests without succumbing to any pressure at all. So I think that's what Indian foreign policy is all about.
And with that, we come to the end of this very wonderful discussion.